What do you think God thinks about you when God thinks about you? What do you think He feels? I've had people say to me, "God is disgusted with me."
That was a big thing in recovery for me, man, because I would say if you asked me that question, when I was going through my divorce initially or before that, it would have
Yeah.
been maybe a little bit like that. Or gosh, for the 20 plus years that I was struggling with porn, where I just did not have any kind of game plan or connection, like you guys were saying, brotherhood. I was just
Yeah.
trying to do it on my own. Definitely, like 100% with certainty. I think that's what my answer would have been. I was like, God's disgusted with me. He can't stand me. He's not
Never
going to
was the
forgive me.
truth.
And it's
Yeah.
like, yes, because it's
Lied.
I think that's a big thing with porn, and especially I think with Christians.
Mm.
I grew up Catholic. That was a big thing. I thought I was going to hell in second grade. That was a thing I carried with me for a while, man. Like was like I
I'm
committed a
sorry to hear
cardinal
that.
sin. Yeah, and I it's like I think back and it's like kind of like you can like laugh like gosh, like that's
So
crazy.
that
Like that's
suffering is giving you
it's like a
great.
dark humor. You're like, wow, like that's dark.
Mhm.
And when you think about it, when I think about it, I'm like, that's like a really big deal. Like, that's nothing to discount. Like, that is
No.
true
Yeah.
story. I carried that with me for a while, and it didn't really come about until I was with my Christian therapist. And it like we did EMDR therapy, which I've written about and
Mhm.
I
talked
do
about a little
too.
bit. Yeah, and it was so helpful. Like, it really helped knock down because the way it was explained to me by my therapist, he's like, you have all these memories, some you don't even realize you have, and
Mhm.
it's like a domino. Like once you start hitting down a few, then they eventually hit that big one, that big domino. That's like that big trauma that you have.
And sometimes
And
talk therapy just doesn't have that traction.
oh,
No.
totally.
But but the other thing too is well, you got to start where you stand. So that's
Right.
where you're at now. But it is helpful to know, what's the root of that? What was the root of that? And what was the cause? And
Totally.
so dealing with that stuff can help you move forward. And it's not for everybody.
You don't need to
Sometimes
stay
talk
back
therapy
in the
does help,
past. You just need to use the
but you're
past,
not that.
figure it out,
Yeah.
move out of there.
Yeah. Well, you're not that anymore. You're born again. That's what Christians
But that
believe. You
suffering
think
you
about it.
had, you're using it now for the good of others. So that early suffering is you're
And
getting the fruit of it now.
yeah, and I think for listeners too, and people that are watching this, to know that there's Satan loves despair.
Mm.
He loves
Misery
despair.
loves company.
Find you. Yeah, and he relishes it when people start thinking about even suicide. They have such shame,
Yeah.
and it seems silly to talk about it through just, well, it's just pornography or whatever, but it can bring you to such a place that you feel just such a loss of control and despair that you can be suicidal. You can just think, hey,
Yeah, that's where I
that's
was.
not of God. That is not of God at all. I mean, it's the polar opposite.
And
So
if you're
I wanted
feeling
to say,
that, there's a suicide hotline you can contact
yeah,
that is
That's what I
very,
did. That's what I
yeah,
did,
yeah,
and
and
don't
you
be ashamed.
you have to reach out to that. You gotta be there. The cattle will fight you as you're trying to pull them out of the thickets, but those people are there to help you, and you got to reach out for help because there's good people there. They want to help you. Your brothers are there. You may not know it yet, but they're there. So don't despair. Christ is there with you. You can do all things through Christ. So and also you're going to do things through Christ. But remember, again, this is a journey. It's not a destination. People are like, well, I just want to pray and be done with porn,
Enjoy
or
the
whatever.
ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to work through that. You have to
Or like
work
the
through
day count, like, oh gosh, I got to restart again. I was just
being a
at this many
Christian.
No, you don't have to
days.
restart.
It's like
You just get back on when you left off.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's important. I mean, that's the important thing that's there.